What's going on, guys? Alexander Thomas. Welcome back to Game Time 123. We have got the Reforest deck. Is the third deck. Is the green-based deck. This deck, as I put into the comments down below, is based on returning creatures to the battlefield, and it's a green deck with a fertility counter on it. Now, fertility counters, for the explain. Really quickly off that, fertility counters are when this creature dies, exile it. So it has a similar effect. To return to the field, and it will be re-entering the field with fertility counter on it. Now there are a lot of things in this deck, and this is the third of these decks. We'll go ahead and get into this. I know it's a little bit earlier than I intended to, but earlier than I intended to start streaming. But I want to explain basically the Reforest. Here's a Reforest card. Reforest. Hope I spelled Reforest right. You can return this ability to the battlefield with a fertility counter on it. Fertility, as I said, is specifically when this creature dies, exile it. There are ways to remove fertility counters, and this is a elf-cat based deck. I think it's more cats than anything else. It might be elves. I think actually now I might be not thinking about it. It's probably mostly elves in the context for this. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first one is Jingo. Jingo. It's an elf, and whenever it enters the battlefield, put a forest card in your hand. And I will say this: I think it is OC Elves. I think I'll have to edit the stream before I finish thing up, because I think it is elves. I'll see if I can change that while I started a few minutes early. So but Jingo is elf. There we go, I should be a little bit better off of that. But Jingo is basically has Reforest, return battlefield with a fertility counter on it, and whenever it enters, search your library for a forest card and put it onto your hand. Formwick. Formwick is a card that says, when a creature attacks, add 2 green mana to your mana pool. Or 2 green into your mana pool. Add green to your mana pool, and it has Reforest as well. You can spend this mana only on non-creature spells this turn. So there is a lot of, most of it is creatures. I think this is mostly elf. This one's a human ally. Ally is a certain creature type that has an effect for a lot of other cards. I don't know that there are a lot of them in this actual set. But the 2/3 for 4, it has Reforest, which will cost the same in this case. We got Eleanor, which is the main creature of this set. Main creature basically. It's an elf. When a creature enters, place a 1 counter on target creature. So not necessarily this. It could be this creature, or it could be some other creature. It could be the creature that entered. It's a 4/3 for 4. It has Reforest for 3. And if there are cards that have an incorrect edit occurrence, I'm not going to probably try to correct them, because I'll probably end up being printing these cards eventually. It might not be for a little while. Next card is going to be Knight of the Forest. It is a trample. It's an elf knight. Trample vigilance, and whenever Knight of the Forest enters, search your life for a forest card and put it into the battlefield tapped, and reforest it for 7 mana. That's 5/5 for 5. And reforest it for 7. And reforest is just a extra card that you can play to bring something back from the graveyard with a fertility counter instead. Forest Dragon. Every card in these decks has a dragon in it. This one's got the mechanic. It doesn't have a mechanic. Actually, it does have a mechanic. It has a mechanic Reforest for 6, which is the same cost. It requires you to have 3 green instead. And whenever it attacks, you search your life for 2 lands, not basic lands, and place them into your hand. So you get 2 lands every turn, and you can play an additional land every turn based on it. It's 11/6 flying. It doesn't have trample, but it has a lot of ridiculous abilities off of the effect. Deala the Hood. Whenever it attacks, put 1 counter target creature control. And then it has Reforest for 4. And that's all it is. It's a mythic. It honestly could probably be a rare if I wanted it to be. But it has Reforest for 1/2. And you get to put a counter on a target creature you control whenever it attacks. Which could be itself. Locks the leader. Whenever you play your second land on your turn, so with the Forest Dragon, it's helpful. You get a 2/2 cat that has add 1 green mana to your mana pool, and it has Vigilance. It's a 2/2 creature with Vigilance. Reforest, I think I ordered these differently, so that's why it's up here instead. We got a cat with token creature that's tapped with the Vigilance. Nope, it doesn't have Vigilance. It just add mana. We got Lana, Leader of the Forest. It's a cat warrior that can be your commander. You +1 to get a 2/2 cat with add green to your mana pool, and you can -5 it to place a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. And it costs 5. It can be your commander. It's a cat warrior. It's a mythic. Chop down the tree. Destroy target a non-creature permanent. So anything that's not a creature you can destroy. So it won't help you against creatures in this case. Path of Reforest. Return target forest to the battlefield tapped, and you can recast it, which is, you can play it again for its recast cost, which is whatever the extra mana is plus for every time you've cast it. So if you've cast it once, it'll cost you 2 mana. If you recast it again, it'll cost you 3. If you recast it again, it'll cost you 4, and so on and so forth. We got Secret Attack. Target creature deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. It's basically fight, but fighting as in you already can't. Basically, like, your opponent doesn't have a creature to fight. Really, it does have to have a. It has to be a creature in order to do it, though. The next card is gonna be Forced Possession. Forced Possession is you gain control of target creature, untap the creature, and search the library for a basic land and put it into your hand. until end of turn. It's just a act of treason. That's really all it is. It just get an extra land into your hand. It does not give the creature haste. It's just that you gain control of that creature. If it doesn't haste, can't attack with it. The forest tree. Each creature you control gets +1/+1. Costs you to 3, and it's 11. Forest battlements. Kind of like landfall. Actually, they honestly literally is landfall. When a land enters, choose one. Either create a 2/2 cat with tap, add 1 green mana, scry 1, or place a 1/1 counter on target creature without a 1/1 counter on it. So if it has a 1/1 counter on it, you can't do it on there. And it costs 5 mana. Enter the facility, costs 0, and draw a card. You can discard a card unless you control 2 or less lands. So basically, it's a free draw a card if you control 2 or less lands. So if you control 2 lands, you can play it for free, and you don't have to worry about discarding cards. But if you have 2 more lands or 3 more lands, then you have to discard a card. We get Eldor the Elf Master. Elves and cats are +1 get +1/+1. You can reforest. When an elf or cat dies, you may exile it. If you do, put 1 counter on 2 target creatures. It's giving more power to other creatures. As long as 1 elf or cat died this turn, that's all you have to do, and you can reforest it for 4 mana. The Archer Cat. Meow. It has reach and first strike, and a deck can have any number of cards named Archer Cat. Cost you 1 to play on the field regularly, but it does have Reforest, which is you can basically exile it if it does die. But then in that case, all you have to do is reforest it, and that's really helpful in that phase. And you just get a 2/3 creature with reach and first strike. So we got Alba, the cat of the castle, which is a planeswalker that can be your commander. Search for a land card for +3 and place it into your hand. Oh. You get an emblem that says creatures you control get +1/+1, where X is the number of lands you control for -11. That is gotta be broken. I don't even know how to say this. You get +3 to search for a land card and place it into your hand. So you can't play an additional land with it, but all you have to do is have 4 strike, and it will be, let's see, how many turns will it take you? It takes 3, so that makes it 8. It'll take you 2 turns and then you sacrifice it. But that might be one of the most broken cards. I don't know if I can love it or anything of it, That's huge. I think honestly that I might have to figure out how to work that card differently. That's your commander. Oh, that's a lot. You get an emblem that says creatures you control get +1/+X for the number of lands you control. I don't know if I made the emblem for that, but that's a lot. Sunma, the cat warrior. Whenever it attacks, search for a land card and place it into the battlefield tapped. Oh goodness. That's a lot. And you just get a land every time you attack with it. It has first strike to add on to that. It does cost 4, but that's still ridiculous in the context for the fact. Armor of the Reforest. It's a equipment. It costs 3, and whenever a creature has +1/+1. When this creature dies, exile and return equipped creature to the battlefield with 2 1/1 counters on it. So it's an extra. It basically returns something to the battlefield. Wow. With 2 extra counters on it, you do have to get rid of the Armory Reforest. But that's a lot to deal with, to go with it, in that mechanic. Approach the Warriors. When a target creature deals damage to a player or planeswalker, it's a target, you place X1 counters on that creature where the X is number, where X is the dealt of damage that creature dealt. So it basically doubles its power. It is a sorcery. I think this might be a little bit broken. Sword, the warrior, I think it's the warrior wrong, of the sword, whenever whenever its first strike, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a sword, where a creature gets +1/+1. That's, I think, already a thing, but it's 1/4. It does cost 5, though, to play. We got Katra, which is just your 4th for 2. It has haste. It's a 2/1 for haste. There's not much else to talk about that one. Mora. It's basically a 4th elf, except it has vigilance, and it's 1/2. That's really all it is. Land Portal. Land Portal has landfall. There's the landfall we need. Whenever a land you control enters, you may search your life for a land card and place it into your graveyard. And you can return a target land to the battlefield tapped. It's not necessarily from your graveyard. This is return target land to the battlefield tapped. So I guess it can be in the exile or it can be in the graveyard. It doesn't have to be specifically on that. Which allows you to trigger another land and put it in your graveyard. Could be, I don't know how good that is. Laval, or Laval. It's an elf warrior. Each elf you control has vigilance, and you can tap. You can pay 3 to untap each elf you control. It's a 5/3 for 5. The next card is gonna be Forest Grove. Untap X lands, gain X life, and draw X cards. So the more you pay for it, the more better the card is. It's always going to cost you 1 more than you have, but that's still pretty good. 10 lands, tap them. Okay, tapping 10 lands, gain 9 life, draw 9 cards, untap 9 lands. Basically, it's kind of like it's free, to be honest. Whenever a creature enters, add 1 green mana to the mana pool, enter the castle. It's an enchantment, Reforest. Not much else to talk about that one. It's just an enchantment that adds a green whenever a creature enters. Elf Flying. It's an elf dragon that's a 2/2 with flying and vigilance. That's all it is. It's just a flying elf. It's a 2/2 elf with flying and vigilance that is an elf dragon. Eleanor, the Rider of the Dragons. It's another mythic. Each creature you control's power and toughness are 5/5. You reforce it for 6. It costs you 5. It's an elf knight dragon. And it can be a legendary creature, which is ridiculous. And you can tap it for 2 to place a 1/1 counter on target creature. So one creature gets a power buff from whatever it is, to like 6/6 plus whatever the amount is. It could be ridiculous. I don't know. Just say that. And you're free to let me know what you think about these cards, and you think some of these cards are too powerful or something like that. Charge in battle. Target creature Deals damage to another target creature equal to that creature's power. Stands pretty decent. Just basically deal 1 damage, deal X damage to target creature. Next one is going to be Elf of the White Cape. There's several elves like this. I think there's Elf of the White Cape, Elf of the Red Cape, and Elf of the Yellow Cape or something like that. You can pay 1 green to give it lifelink until end of turn, and then if it has flying on your turn. So it's a 2/3 flyer on your turn and you can give it lifelink. I think that's pretty good. Elf of the Red Cape, and you can give it flying, and it has double strike on your turn. So it's a 2/1 with double strike on your turn, costs 3, and you can give it flying on your turn. That's a lot to deal with. Raining of Arrows. I feel this card was a little bit weird. It was difficult for me to find a card for this one. You can recast it for 2 + 1 for every time you cast it. And you deal 3 damage to each non-flying creature. If it's flying, it doesn't do any damage to it. It's an instant. Path of Union. Each creature with a converted mana cost X or less gets +3/+3. X proof. So you actually have to pay a certain amount of mana for it, and the creature becomes more powerful. So if your creature's a 3/3, you have to pay at least 3 mana for that to work. Well, your creatures have to have a certain amount of mana. It's actually a very difficult spell to play, which is why I think it's a legendary. You can't play more of them, and it really is kind of difficult to deal with. Eleanor, the Magic Elf. Whenever it's targeted by a spell, place a magic counter on it, on a creature you control, and creatures with counters you control, you don't have, oh no, it's basically ones that you don't, it's creatures with counters you don't control, can't activate their abilities, can't activate active abilities. 3/3, Elf Wizard. The next one is going to be Elf of the Sun. When you cast a spell, place a magic counter on Elf of the Sun, and you can reforest it for 4. Costs 2 regularly. Costs 3 regularly. Livos as haste, reforest, and that costs 1 less for reforest, but it's a 1/1. It's a 1/1 it's a 1/1 for 3 that has haste. Not exactly a very good card in this case for that one. Magic of Elves. Sorcery elf, you get 4 life. Nothing else for that one. Permanent Reforest. Remove all fertility counters, which are the counters that make creatures get exiled if you cast them. Cost 3, and you cast it for at least 2, depending on how many times you cast it. So potentially 3 every time. Sauron the Swordmaster is a cat warrior. Whenever it enters, you gain 4 life. You reforest it for 2. Not much add to that. Next card is each elf reforest costs 2 less. Each elf reforest is the mechanic costs 2 less. It doesn't actually say it couldn't target itself. It's just that you wouldn't be able to do it because it's already in the graveyard. It's not a card that you can have as many copies of you want. So Vigilance 1/5 for 5 with Reforest for 4. Eleanor, no Elva, no Elvi. Elf of Secrets. You get 2 lifelink and scry 1 to tap it for scry 1. You can Reforest it for 3. Unsure Fate. There's a couple of these cards like this. You roll 6-sided die. You know what? Here, let me see if I have a 6-sided die over here somewhere. That's not a 6-sided die. Here, for fun, I have a 6-sided die over here. It's not a very big one, but, you know, there it is. Reforest. I'll roll it and see what the effect would be. It says you roll 6-sided die, either search 1 for 2, you search life for basic land, put it on top of your library. 3 for 5, you get to gain 1 life and draw a card, or 6, you discard your hand. And every card has that. Yep. Let's see. It is a 5, so I gain 1 life and draw a card. For fun, let's do it a second time. Search life for basic land, put on type 1 more time, and still going to do the same thing. But it's just an instant you can just do 1 time. I think there's a couple of them like that, so I'm going to leave the die out here for now. But it's just an extra effect. It's kind of like something from Dungeons and Dragons, the set from Magic the Gathering. Basic idea. We got ourselves Approach the Gate. When search a letter for a basic land, put it on battlefield tapped. Once per turn, you may pay 2 or 3. And you may, if you do, place Approach the Gate into your hand from your graveyard. It has to be in your graveyard to do that. So you can do that once per turn. So if you cast it and then it goes to your graveyard, you can't do it more than once per turn. That's the basic idea for that one. Next one is Tower Cat. When it attacks, place a magic counter on Tower Cat. It's a 4/3 for 3. Remove a magic counter from Tower Cat to draw a card. It has reach. Kind of makes sense in that case, but it's a 4/3 artifact creature. We got our Jinsil, which is an elf horse cat. I don't know how that makes any sense, but it is. Costs 5. Whenever one or more creatures attacks, place one counter on one creature each player controls. And creatures with counters can't attack me. So basically what happens is, if this creature attacks, you place a 1 counter on a creature you control and a creature that your opponent controls. Powers up their creature. But if the creatures that have counters can't attack you, which is fine for most cases. Next card is going to be Giselle the Cat Tamer, and you can create a 2/1 for tapping it. 2/1, create a 2/1 cat with the mana cost, and each cat has haste. Pretty cool for that effect. Next card is Leap the Gap. Let's see what our effect would be. Oh, we just cast a spell. Roll 6-sided die. Let's see. It's 2. So target creature will gain reach until the end of turn. It gets better the higher you roll. Target creature gets +2/+2. If you roll 6, I didn't roll 6, but let's say target creature gains +1/+1 and gains reach. And it depends on what you roll every time. That was a 5. So target creature gets +2/+2. And you only do it once. So it's just great. You can make a creature more powerful for once. Castle of Magic Spells. Oh geez, this one's actually really good. When you cast your first spell each turn, double that spell's effect, whatever it is. So if it is, the next one will say what it is, then it doubles this effect. It's not a spell. At the beginning of each end step, you roll a 6-sided dice and you create X 1/1 elves on your field tapped where X number rolled. Okay, so at the end of our turn, we will get 2 elves that are tapped on your battlefield. Or wait, does it say end of each end step? Of each end step, so it doesn't say your end step, it says each end step, so you get some extra elves every turn. Black Houncer, when it enters, deals 2 damage to any target, and it has first strike. Not much to talk about, and I think this is the last one actually. No, it's not. Tigger. It is a elf with backup 1. You can tap it to place a 1/1 counter on target creature. And it also has that ability. So basically, backup 1 is an effect that says you can place a 1/1 counter on another card creature, and it has all the abilities that are below it until end of turn. It's not a very good card. It's just a plays 1/1 counter on target creature. It's not great, anyways. We got the Elder Elf, which is another planeswalker. Place 1/1 counter on target creature, -1 to search your library for an elf, and place it onto the battlefield tapped, or -4 to place 2 1/1 counters on each creature you control. It cannot be your commander. That's a good point. It cannot be your commander. Some of these cards can, but this one cannot be. Elf Decree. Draw 3 cards, and then each opponent draws a card. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to draw 3 cards. Whoop, I drew my 3 cards, and you get to draw 1 card. That's 4, but cool. That's how that works. You get to draw 3 cards, and your opponent gets to draw 1 card. That's the effect for that one. Not very effective for it. The White Elf. It has haste, indestructible, and vigilance, and whenever it dies, return to the battlefield tapped. I want to know how that works. It says it has Hexproof, Indestructible, and Vigilance. Whenever it dies, I guess you. I don't know how you do. Okay, I guess you can. It can still die because it can still die from making creatures -1, -X. And it's, oh, it has hexproof. Never mind. I don't even know how that works. It's 7 cost. Is there some spell in there that says, hey, your creature, I don't even know. Because it can't be targeted with spells. Let me know if you think you know how that spell would work, because it does not make any sense to me. It has Hellsproof, Indestructible, and Vigilance, which is cost a lot. It doesn't have Shroud, and the whole effect is that you get targeted. Creature that can technically lose Indestructible, so it can't be targeted. Red Elf. Enchant a creature. When a Red Elf attacks, sacrifice it at the end of your turn. So 1/7. When it dies, search your library for a force card. I guess you can still sacrifice creatures. Vol. You play 1, put a magic counter on it, so technically you can pay at least a minimum 3. And when it's targeted by a spell you don't control, then you place 1/1 counter on it. So it gets more powerful whenever you target it with a spell that you don't control, or you can place a bunch of magic counters. So basically, if I had 3, it's immediately going to get 3 every turn, if I want to do that. I don't know if magic counters, what do magic counters do anyways? Let me see if I can figure out what magic counters do. I think magic counters have something to do with, because magic counters are another, not guardian wolf. Let me make sure I know what magic counters are. I think magic counters are whenever it is targeted with a spell, you remove one. There are other ones I think that say what magic counters are, but I just want to make sure I know what it is. I know what it is before, but there it is. Okay, so magic counters are when you remove magic counter when it's targeted with a spell. That's it. That's all it is. There might be more mechanics to this. That's what it is. Oh, in Elendor, for your power attacks, you get create a 1 elf. It has your forest for 7. Cost 7, 8 to get out of the field. Eye to eye. 2 creatures fight. And when a creature dies this turn, place 1 counter on target creature. Extra power, great. Dragon Elf. It has a power based on how many elves you control. That's a lot. Rider. First strike haste for 2. Not much in that. Flame Elf. Choose one or both. You gain 1 life for each elf you control. I don't know why you would not choose both in this scenario. Search a life for an elf card and place it into your hand. I mean, I guess you could not have a library or any elf in your deck, but in theory you would do it. Treefolk Beast is a Treefolk 5/6 for with reach for 5. Nothing else. Emerald, a legendary creature. Search your die for a forest card and place it into the battlefield. Tapped, it's equal to the number of forest its power is equal to the number of forest you control. So it's at least 2, unless you decide to play with something that's not forest. I guess it's possible, but unlikely. Not in this deck. EQ. No. OQ. OQ! When it attacks on tap 3 lands, it's an 8/3. Not much else to say about that. It's a tree folk. The Scribe. Whenever you cast a spell, add 1 green mana to your mana pool. As reach, it's 4 green mana. Not much else. Trevo, the leader of the forest. It's an elf tree folk. How that works, I don't. Please tell me. Forests you control have tap for 2. Spend this mana only to cast creatures and planeswalker spells, or planeswalker spells. Okay, the creatures and planeswalker spells. Can't cast instant sorceries. Gotcha. Proforest. Search your life for X lands and place them into the battlefield tapped. Not much else to talk about that. It's just you get extra lands. Master Edoral, which is a... Okay. This one cannot be your commander either. I don't think. The way I'm reading this is as you can't make your commander. It's an elf wizard. Whenever a land enters, you place the loyalty counter on it. You get +2 to search life for a land card and place it into your hand, or you can -5 it, and it says you get an emblem that says you control lands you control tap for twice as much mana as they produce. Wow. I don't know if that's good or not. I think it's good, but maybe it's not. Path of Reforest. You sacrifice Path of Reforest. Search over for 3 basic lands and place them on the battlefield tapped. It costs 3 to get onto the field, though, so it might be difficult to get it out. Basically, it's pay 3 lands, get three basic lands on the battlefield. It doesn't have to be basic lands. We're gonna get basic lands eventually here. Elf Tower. Create a green elf token, and if target creature can't be blocked this turn for just 1. I think that might be a little bit broken. It's an artifact. I guess we can be easily destroyed. Treefoot Bull. Please tell me how that works. As Reforest for 7, costs 7 regularly. Trample and double strike, and it is a 10/10. Returns battlefield to battlefield tab with utility counter. My goodness, it's a 10/10 with trample and double strike. So if you don't block it, you die. Well, you die actually with 2 of these because the context of how it works. But yeesh, that's a lot. Reforest the Future. You scry 5 and then draw a card and recast it for a minimum 3. I think we're getting close to the end here. Forest. It's a legendary land forest that has X green mana to your mana pool, where X is the number of elves you control. Wow, that's a lot of elves. Then I think we have our basic land, basic forest. One of them anyways. And there's another forest. They're just basic lands, that's all. And that's the last card in this. Didn't take me as long as I thought it was going to. It took me like 42 minutes. But that is the whole Reforest deck. Basic idea, as you figure out, is elves, cats, and returning lands. That is it. Thank you guys for watching. The stream for tonight. We'll see you next stream, and don't forget to keep your game on. We'll let you know that the next week will be the what's it called? Wizard 101 balance. I'm bringing that back. It just took a little bit of time for me to get into it. It will probably about 1 or 2 episodes a month for that one, and they should all be live. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.